Episode 67, Death of a Partisan Boy, June 1943. June is nearing its end. We have all our hands full. The entire regiment has now moved up from the south up to the latitude of Kharkiv. It's sort of a rest stop, since men and material are being spared. Spare parts arrive and the repair platoons have their hands full with it, in order to get all tanks combat ready again. Parts that were fixed with home remedies are now removed and replaced by new ones. The platoons are also being replenished. Here and there, Panzer with a short 75mm stubby gun are coming into the units. We call them meatball tossers. One should not underestimate these machines. They can punch holes as well, and the IIs are the corset that we rely on. That way, the long barrels are able to engage undisturbed at distance. It's a busy place, but it rains a lot, and the roads, if one can call them as such, are mostly muddy trails. Nevertheless, it's rather quiet, but everyone knows it will soon go against the enemy again with great momentum. For a few days now, I have not been on a mission. The long barrels, too, are held in reserve. Therefore, the Panzer IIIs have to move out when the Russian gets restless and keep order. Part of my crew is also still on leave from the front or on their way back, because by June 25th, all soldiers on leave are supposed to be back. I'm over to Schmidt. We chat about the bombing attacks on Germany. We don't like it. But here, what can we do about it? A little bit later, I report to Peter, who wants to talk to me. A field car is sitting in front of his quarters. We are to go to a pioneer unit in the neighboring sector. Said and done. Despite the secure hinterland, I fetch a machine pistol for myself. Better safe than sorry. We got onto the bad roads and Peter states it would certainly take us an hour. It's finally quit raining. We pass vehicle convoys. Military police everywhere who are securing roadways and intersections and who are asking all kinds of questions if one wants to pass. But they're only doing their job. Again, we have to stop and wait at an intersection until a long column of transport vehicles have passed. Suddenly a buzzing above us. When we look up, a very low flying Me passes by, trailed by two yaks. The Messerschmitt has apparently already been hit, or the pilot was injured. In any case, he appears with great difficulty to still make evasive maneuvers. The military policemen next to us are taking up their arms and try, in vain, to shoot at the Russians. But those are much too fast for us. The Messerschmitt once again pulls up really high and receives a few more hits in its fuselage. Trailing smoke, the plane is still climbing. Then one can see the pilot jump from the cockpit. He falls and falls. Finally, the chute is deployed. The yaks turn in and are now taking aim at the pilot. Bastards, but they're too late. The parachute comes down a few kilometers away in a patch of woods. The sergeant of the military police wants to get there quickly in our field car to pick up the pilot. Peter agrees. So two men in the back, and off it goes for a wild ride. I don't like it. The woods do not look inviting, but to rescue the comrade is a matter of honor. I asked the sergeant what kind of area this was, and he states that here it was not entirely safe. On and off again partisans who weren't easy to catch. We rumble in the general direction where we'd last seen the parachute. At some point we can't go any further and have to abandon the car. I'm with a machine pistol, the two military policemen with a carbine and MP Peter only with his pistol. Like a gang of robbers, it's going into the dense forest. It is a pine forest with thick underbrush. Tough going. After 10 minutes, I can see the parachute in a tree and head toward it. I signal the comrades, whereupon the non-commissioned officer of the military police takes off running. Apparently, he wants to be first to get to the pilot. That's a fatal mistake. While running, he's flung backwards and falls on his back with a bullet wound in his chest. What a mess. We all jump into cover. Partisans again. I know the game. Here, a shooter is hiding out somewhere, and we don't even carry any hand grenades. I crawl further to the left in order to catch a glimpse of the chute from the side. The pilot is gone, only his harness is still hanging there. I can see the cap and a few spots of blood. I again look after our injured. It's already too late. He's already dead. The other two are lying in cover behind a tree trunk. I signal that I'm going to try to get over to the other side. Peter shakes his head, but I crawl off. Staying put here is not an option. The crooks know the forest better than we. The sergeant fires off a few bursts in the direction where he's suspecting the shooter. That'll definitely distract him, and I see to it to crawl faster. Now I also notice a drag mark. They captured the pilot, so he's still alive, or else they wouldn't take him along. I crawl further. After another 50 meters, sweat is running down my forehead. The uniform is wet. The elbows hurt. I spot a cap in the thicket. That's where the son of a bitch is sitting. Or is it two? A few more bursts from the MP of the comrades give me the opportunity to move even farther. Now I can see the pilot's boots and a boy, perhaps 16 years old, who's holding a knife to the pilot's throat. Next to him squats a man, possibly his father, aiming a rifle in the other direction. I'm now close to within 50 feet, but with the machine pistol it's too risky. I could hit the pilot. Suddenly, planes are buzzing low overhead above the forest again, and are apparently distracting the two. I gather all my courage, jump up and run toward the two. With the noise, they don't hear me. With a leap I'm there, kick the knife out of the boy's hand, and take aim at the rifleman. He sees me, doesn't flinch, and takes up his rifle to level it at me. I pull the trigger, the recoil lets me tremble. Or 5 rounds hit the man and jerk him backwards. His rifle flies up in the air. He lands on top of the legs of the unconscious pilot. Now the boy has gathered himself, takes his knife and comes at me. Too late for the machine pistol. I try to fend off the knife, but receive a cut to the left forearm. He's small and quick. He wants to kill me. I see it in his eyes. In the meantime, Peter's almost there and sees me fighting with the small guy. The boy is distracted. I leap forward, wrestle the knife out of his hand and stab him. A muffled cry. That's all that comes from the boy's mouth. He wants to say something, but life is leaving his body. I'm still gripping the knife. I've apparently hit his heart. Now his body is relaxing and it's over. What have I done? I didn't want to do this, but in the heat of the fight. I don't know. I'm disgusted. My hands are covered in blood. Now he's only a boy, no longer an enemy. He dies in my arms. I didn't want this, as before with the young woman. I sit aside, while Peter and the military policemen are taking care of the pilot. He'd received some hard blows with the rifle butt, but he's alive and is able to tell what happened. He'd flown an attack with his comrades, but had engine trouble. Since the main battle line wasn't far off, he'd turned around and was headed back to the airfield by himself. But then the Russians showed up and shot him down. When he was later hanging from the tree, the 2 partisans were right there and beat him up. He's glad that we saved him. Peter notices that I'm struggling with the death of the boy. He places a hand on my shoulder and says, "There was no other way, or else I'd be lying here now in my own blood." That, however, doesn't help me. Although those were partisans or just Russians who were defending their country. I'm confused. Aren't we in the right? We stopped the Russian before he was able to overrun our Germany. Now he must live with the fact that we're taking his land. Or isn't that right? It doesn't want to get out of my head. Peter tears me out of my thoughts. I should help support the pilot since by now an armored personnel carrier has dug its way through the woods and is waiting for us. They've already loaded up the dead non-commissioned officer. The sergeant is also visibly shaken. The deceased Gernot was his name, was a good comrade and been with it since Poland. And now, it's over. Again, a mother who's going to weep, but also 2 Russian mothers who are also going to weep. Damn shall be all partisans. A soldier in uniform one can fight with, but these civilians. I don't like that at all. The pilot would still like to know our unit, so Peter tells him who we are. After an hour, we're sitting in the field car again. Now it's going on to the Pioneers. There we first get some food, and later I'm waiting for Peter by the car. The officers are apparently discussing the operational details in the ready room, wherever that might be. So far we have not received any information, but that should take too much longer. After another 2 hours, we get on our way back. I don't say much, and Peter lets me stay quiet. When we're back in Merefa, my commander takes me aside. "Listen up, Rudolf." He states, "It is war after all, and they want to see us dead. Today, You've saved us all and the pilot on top of it. Who knows how many lives that pilot might save now that he's able to fly again, and how many infantry soldiers now won't be shot at from some kind of woods, all that because you eliminated those two. That's how the tally goes. Everything else will just make you think. I take it in, and for now just want to be by myself. In my quarters I still have half a bottle of rum. That'll have to do first. I walk over to Schmidt. We find ourselves a quiet place behind an old bar. Schmidt listens, nods, and lets me talk. That's a good thing. Then, slightly inebriated, I do find some sleep. The next morning, I do have a bad headache. So go. We are relocating. Everyone is getting ready. With all our kit and caboodle, the entire unit is set in motion. Now we're moving. The destination, Borisovka.